Hello and welcome to Elite Week, episode number 22. Today, Thursday, July 16th. This is going to be a short one. This is an interview with Alec Turner of the Buckyball Racers, talking about everything that's been going on and the new race that is coming up starting day after tomorrow, starting this Saturday, Keys for the Carrier. Hey, Alec, how you doing?
Okay, back again.
Yep. So before we get into Keys to the Carrier, let's talk about the goings on in the last couple of weeks here. You've had both the Signs of Life race and also the Signs of Life and the Lavecon.
Engineers Canyon Mayhem.
Oh, that's the one. Okay, yeah. So you had the ECM, the Engineers Canyon Mayhem race, and you had the Lavecon race, the Slapdash.
Yeah, we've been busy.
Yeah. Let's start with the Engineer Canyon Mayhem race. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So that was a really good one, actually. I hadn't really realised these, because it was kind of it was organised by Terra Civic, who's one of the elite race guys. They're really good at coming up with courses, sort of intricate little loops and turns, and so it was those 5 courses around the engineer bases, and they were really insane. There was just such fantastic little switchbacks and loops and things you had to do. And trying to do those courses in the SRV, I think only Shay Blackwood and me actually tried it in the SRV, but man, that was some of the toughest SRV driving I've done. It was such fun.
Yeah, man, hero mode.
Yeah, it was cool. And rather than, it depends on how you read this, but I either won or came second, depending on how much of a penalty you give me for accidentally cutting one of the corners, which has kind of gone down in legend now.
I think it was just good fun. It was just, you were taking the piss out of yourself, and the guys joined in on the ribbing, but it was just silliness.
I did go the wrong way. I just missed the corner. I just didn't read the rules carefully enough, and I just got careless. And then it was only when somebody, I stupidly posted a video of my run, and somebody's like, Alec, I think you've missed a gate there, mate. So yeah, but it was all good. And then we snuck in a Lavecon race as well.
Yeah, and now in that Lavecon race, so now basically Shay has been coming up, hero mode for the last couple of races. When you deal with, when you look at, just the last 3 races alone. Let's look at Signs of Life. Shay blew everyone out of the water with a whole different method. Then you've got the Engineer, the ECM, the Engineer Canyon Mayhem race. And Shay was only one of 2 people to Ironman it and go for the SRV route. And then in this Lavecon race, I was following along as the race progressed through the week, and the standings were changing and whatnot. And Shay started off in a standard build, one of the, like what you would expect for a race. Or pretty much you expect for a race like this, you expect to see, a Viper, you expect to see a Courier. For some different kind of races, you might expect to see like Viper or Eagle, but in this race, Shay started off with a meta build and then shocked everybody at the end by coming in first place in the unlimited run with a highly engineered sidey. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So it's crazy. Shay is it's a shame the 2 of them didn't overlap, but we used to have a guy who raced a lot called Cookie Hole. And Shay reminds me a lot of Cookie Hole in that he's almost unbeatable. You just look at the times and think, I don't quite know how you're doing that. He devotes himself to the race. I think he runs it over and over and over again. He just loves doing that. And he's just really good. I love the fact that he uses keyboard and mouse. If you watch some of his videos, you can see that kind of stepping as he's hitting a key to turn and then not, little bits. And the fact that he can blow us all out of the water with keyboard and mouse, I actually love that, because it kind of silences people who go, I haven't got a protest, so I'm not going to win. Well, Shay blows it out of the water. I love it. But yeah, so his switch to a sidey was interesting. I thought he was just being cocky, actually. But it turns out there was way more to it. So one of the things with that race was that, as with a lot of the races, most of the time is saved in the Super Cruise from when you drop in on the start or when you get to the station. And that's pretty much where you can save most of the time. And it turns out that what the Sidewinder gives you is it's got a really good Super Cruise turn rate. Now, what you do is you basically head straight for your destination. And people will be familiar with this, and you keep an eye on the ETA. And normally, when the ETA hits 7 seconds, people stick it in 75%, and they cruise the rest of the way.
Yeah, riding the sevens.
Yeah, and that's really slow. So what you do for buckyball is you just keep going, throttle, you just hold it forwards, and the ETA goes 6 and 5, and then you tend to lose your nerve. And then what you do is you can use pitch. So if you pull back, if you've got a HOTAS and you pull back hard on that stick, that will start to slow you down. And then what you can do is if you do a bit of sort of pitch and roll, yaw and roll as well, you get a corkscrew going. And you can basically hold that acceleration. So instead of it going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 overshoot, you can get it to go 5, 4, 3, 2, and you can just hold it on 2 until the last minute.
Nice.
And basically the Sidey was just letting Shay do that more, I think, because of its Super Cruise turn rate. So he was just sitting there on a 2-second ETA and just screaming into those stations. It was amazing stuff.
And screaming right into a legendary first place run.
Yeah, straight in first. And a good, so the closest second was 13 minutes and 3, and everyone was within seconds. We had a tie for first at one point. So there's like 1, 2, 3, there's like 2 seconds between second and fourth place, and then Shay is in a good 25 seconds faster.
Right on. Big salute. And now we have the new race, the race that starts day after tomorrow. Let's talk.
We do. I literally had a message from Shay's already out there. So this is Keys to the Carrier, which we have to thank you for a little bit. So we're going to use your carrier. It's been repurposed. And it has been renamed to
Keys Cut While You Wait.
Keys Cut While You Wait. I don't know if you have this in the States or to the same extent, but in the UK, you have these little old shops. They've been there forever. You tend to get them a lot in railway stations and things. And they tend to resole people's boots, and they tend to sell bootlaces. And I think some of them, what's that thing you do with phones where you can break them and hack them so that they're not tied to a supplier? They do that, and they cut keys. And they often have.
You have a little bit of that. Most of those shops have died out in most places because you have the people just go to like a Walmart or a Home Depot and they get it done there. Right. But there are a few still around.
Okay, well that's the kind of lame backstory that this fleet carrier is the modern equivalent of Keys Cut While You Wait. There's a bit of mystery around it because these keys aren't any ordinary keys. They are the Guardian keys. I think they're also called ancient keys. I won't spoil it too much by telling people exactly how you get these things, but you have to visit these Guardian beacon structures that are in various systems out in the Sinueth Guardian region of space. And you have to interact with these beacons in a certain way, and it pops out a key. And basically, the idea of the race is you have to get 3 keys from 3 different systems. So the race is kind of a maneuvering and cargo scooping race. No limpets, no collector limpets are allowed. So you're basically working through the puzzle of the Guardian beacon and then scooping up these beacons. Once you have, not beacons, keys. Once you have 3 keys, you then head back to the carrier, which is the start and finish line. And one more sort of little twist, actually, because when I was dry running it, this happens with races when you're sort of developing them, is you realize, well, everyone's times are going to be really close. There's not enough room for variation here. So I've introduced one extra little bit, which is when you get back to the carrier, before you land, you have to kind of show your keys to the carrier. So what that means is you have to jettison all 3 and then back off a little bit and get a screenshot where you can see the 3 keys and the carrier in the background. Scoop them back up again and then land and then sell them to the commodity market.
Okay.
And so your time is basically from when you take off to when you get back and land with your 3 keys.
Right on. So that's that last little bit is a hell of a thing. Now, how does that work as far as the carriers? Don't they sometimes have a thing where, like, I know with stations, if you sort of litter near them, they get mad and fine you and whatever. That doesn't work for carriers, right?
No,
they ignore that.
It seems not. I was taking a load of screenshots this morning and playing around, just trying to get example screenshots, and I had like keys bouncing off your carrier, and it didn't seem to mind. So yeah, I guess there's no littering on quick carriers.
Fair, good. So this is super interesting. One thing I gotta say is I don't know if you picked it like very much on purpose or not, but the exact location where you told me to park the carrier is very picturesque.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah, the shot that you have there is very 2010. And then also, again, to follow along with your no spoilers, the way that you obtain the keys, you interact with, we'll just call them structures. And these structures are very picturesque as well.
Yeah.
So it's a really good sort of show off for the visuals of Elite Dangerous, the whole process, I think.
I'm hoping, keeping to this, I'm hoping some people probably haven't done this before, so that they're going to get to see something new, and they're going to get to see a lot of it if they run this race a few times. And it is pretty spectacular. I'm hoping people will stop and take some screenshots and just enjoy the view, because it's kind of awesome. And that system. So the other thing is I haven't specified where people need to get their keys from. They need to get it from 3 different systems. And I've given some links. There's some great tools out there. There's Canon have a fantastic interactive map where it's got little dots, marking all the Guardian beacon sites, and you can spin that around and zoom in and out. So it's really nice So what I basically did was pick a system somewhere in the middle of all of that that didn't have its own beacon. And then about 2 weeks ago, I just visited maybe a dozen different systems until I found this one and thought, yeah, this is pretty. This will do.
So this race will, again, sort of include components of, as some previous races have, where you're going to have to sort of try to balance out your strategy of some ranges. Some ships are going to have a advantage with their light year range to jump to those systems the most efficiently.
Maybe not so much. I think getting out there is a bit of a pain. Basically, we've got a regulation hauler, which is mostly, it's a stock hauler, but with D-rated everything for range. And it takes about 20 minutes to get out to this system from the bubble, so it's not too bad. But once you're there, the Guardian, these sites, these systems with the Guardian beacons, are all quite tightly packed. So I don't think any one, leg from one site to the next would probably be more than 20 light years or something. They're all
it could pretty much be. So at this point now, you're looking for, for the unregulated class, you're looking for just whatever you're most comfortable in maneuverability, whatever. As you said, for the regulation class, it's going to be haulers.
It's maneuverability, it's scooping. There is some tactics in choosing your 3 systems. 3 nearest systems to where the carrier is, not necessarily the best choice.
Based on light seconds to the destination in system?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
So, somebody might find that there are 3 systems all under 50 light seconds, and they might be quite a long way away from each other, in which case jump range will be a factor. It'll be... Well, if you know... Go ahead. I was going to say, you never quite know with these races, when you plan them, you don't quite know how it's going to pan out and what's going to be the tactics. I feel like this is going to be really close. There still isn't an enormous amount of variability in the difference between a slow run and a fast run, but I guess we'll see.
Well, obviously, you've got a couple of perennial favorites. You've got Shay, you've got yourself, you've got a few other of the top sort of buckyballers that are, Aiken Bosch and whatnot, that are always in the mix. But the dark horse candidate, based on it being a hauler races, you might have Primetime Casual show up and shock everyone because that's his ship he represents.
Time is already aware of the race. He's aware that Hauler is the regulation ship. So yeah, he might be turning up.
And for any people that are running this race that, as Alec said, like you're like, wow, man, this is the first time I've seen these beacons. For sure, run the race, collect the keys, sell them to the carrier over and over and over as you grind out your, best time. But then when the race is done, do the loop again, grind them out one last time, and take those 3 keys and do a little research into what those keys do, because you might find that they give you some new fun toys to play with.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we should talk. We can talk about that a little bit because it's not directly related to the race, but people may already be familiar with the ground-based Guardian sites, the ancient ruins, where you have to kind of activate a bunch of pylons, and then you drop this little thing into a hole in the ground, and it all kind of lights up. And and basically these keys, their intended use is for a similar puzzle. So yeah, as you say, when you finish the race, go and use the keys for what they're supposed to be used for.
Yeah, for sure. So
I had a thought to run by you actually, Kai, which is I hadn't really thought about this, but at the end of the race, your carrier is going to be stuffed to the gills with keys. It's up to you. I don't know what you want to do with them, but it did occur to me you could kind of have a, what do they call them, like everything must go sale on the last day, where you turn the commodity market around and people can buy them all back again.
I have not really thought it through as far as what I'm going to do with those keys. Maybe I'll just try unlocking a lot of doors and open up and say, excuse me, Dark Wheel? Dark Wheel? Is the Dark Wheel in here?
I'll tell you one other thing. If people are playing around at the end or during the race, another great thing to do with keys, it's why I got into the race and sort of why I love these little keys so much. They're really bright. They glow. They have a fantastic blue glow. And they're great for screenshots. You can use them as kind of external lighting in screenshots. You can position them behind things, and they look great on planet surfaces. So, keep a few and go and land on a planet and drop them on the ground, and they're terrific.
They're good for rugby as well. When you have those guys that play rugby, SRV rugby.
Yeah. They're really good.
Right on. All right. Well, everybody, you heard it here first. Get to the Sinew system that's listed. I'm going to have a link in the show notes with the Frontier Forums thread. I'm going to have a link in the show notes to the Buckyball Race Club Discord and to the Buckyball website. Obviously, all 3 of those will get you to where you need to go. It has the system, it has the route, it has the rules, it shows the regulations. And do not punish yourself trying to take a goddamn hauler, all the way out there and dealing with the bullshit. Take your Jumpaconda out there, take your Phantom, take your DBX, whatever, and just the carrier has a fully equipped shipyard. It also has outfitting, so if you need to just scoot on down there and then ship your little hauler over there, do so. If halfway through the race, halfway through the week, you're like, I really want to change this for that for something in the non-regulation class, you can ship over any pieces you want. The fleet carrier will remain on station in support of this race straight up through the 26th, at which time it'll go back to doing its regular job as being in support of the Dark Wheel mission, but it has repair, refuel, rearm. It has every kind of whatever you could possibly need. So make full use of it. And I look forward to seeing the hilarity that ensues in the back and forth between Shay and Primetime Casual.
Hey, Kai, can I just jump in? One
Absolutely.
Thing of actually is there are a few people offering fleet carrier rides out to the start system as well.
Oh, that's great.
So I'm kind of maintaining in the forum thread a little bus timetable for people that want to know. So Shay Blackwood's actually running his carrier out there tonight, if anyone wants a lift on that. And we've also got one, Crank Larson is planning on going tomorrow night sometime, and a guy called Skur is going on Tuesday. And I'm keeping a list of when and where they're going from, so people don't fancy the journey, just hop on a bus.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, well, let's get racing, guys. Alec, thank you so much for popping by, and we'll be talking to you soon for the next one.
No problem. Thanks, Craig.
Right on.
Landing gear retracted.
If you got the wings and the rebuy, deal with those small ship to big. It's the first past the post. Everybody's lined up, staring at the slot gap, smiling at those glasses with the top gun figures on. Pitchfork waving at the neutron, first the boy boost to the max as we skittle off the ToCoSo rack. Turn, maybe turn before you even think about it. Gotta be slick like an oil tank spewing it. We got the speed and need. We're racing out the galaxy. Hop on board with the elite racers. Everyone's flying high. We got the speed and need. We're racing around the galaxy. Hop on board with the elite racers. Everyone's flying. So you learn the way of a boost addict, waiting for the charge lines, even when you're sleeping in your bed. In your head, all you see is a raceway turning, pulling on that boost finger in your dreams. Get in the flow like a neutron, dip a ball, you know they're gonna hit you if you get in their way. Spin like a record, baby, FAI% you crazy. This is the whip crack and you're slow ass. We got the speed need, we're racing around the galaxy. Hop on board with the elite racers, everyone's flying high. So you jump in the game that's the Sandy Ring Raceway, lose an ego as a Lano too. The Farseer Classic makes you feel quite tragic, but you finally get that feeling, yeah, you chasing on the back at the Squirrel Nest Bar, racing to the front of Corrado too. You set the pace at the Kuiper Raceway, everybody talking about you. We got the speed